I'm Tamara Sheasley Ballas, and in today's episode, we're talking about strategies that guides can use working with young children to bring them into the school in a way that's harmonious and smooth for both the child and the family. My guest today is Michelle Blake. Michelle is an instructor for infant and toddler Montessori guides at multiple Montessori teacher education programs, both in the United States and internationally. She also serves as the Montessori infant and toddler level coordinator for a regional college and serves as an adjunct professor of Montessori teacher education. She is a presenter and a published author in multiple Montessori media. Michelle is the founder and principal of Montessori Blooming, LLC, a Montessori education consulting group. So, welcome, Michelle. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Tamara. I'm so thrilled to be here and thank you for inviting me.
Well, so we want to dig right in. So, one thing we know that children can struggle when they're transitioning from home to school or even in school between levels. And so can you talk about specifically in the toddler world, these are little tiny people who have big feelings just like we do. Can you talk about strategies that guides can use to support children as they're coming in and their families to make that transition as smooth and harmonious as possible?
For sure. Toddlers, my favorite people of all. Um, there are four components that I tell my adult learners to keep in mind. Think about the child before the child leaves home. When the child meets the guide for the first time, what does that look like? When the child enters the classroom, and when the child may be upset, how are you going to approach that? So those are the four components I have.
So before the child starts, so you're really thinking about who is the child in the home.
Yes. So I would advise our guides to meet the family and let them know you want to know more about them and their child. Ask questions to be in the know, not to be inquisitive, but to understand who the child is in the family. Is the child an only child? Is this their first child? And so forth.
And can you talk about the difference that makes for the child and the family?
Well, you're going to create a partnership with the families and the child. You want to let them know that you see their child, who the child is, and a family will just feel so connected when they feel that you care about their child. So, um, if you have the opportunity in your school to have home visits, I would recommend home visits. Sometimes you can either meet in a park or somewhere that's comfortable for the family. And when you do home visits, it's not to um, analyze what the home is like or how clean or tidy the home is. It's to make that connection with the family and the child. Just
That
keep
makes
it
so
simple.
much sense.
Mhm.
Now, can you talk a little bit about the first time you're meeting the child? Okay, so let's say I'm a brand new toddler guide and I want to do it right. I've finished my training, I've worked so hard. And now this is where the rubber meets the road, right? This is the moment these little people that I've worked so hard to be ready for are coming in. How do I make the most of that first time meeting?
So the first time you're meeting the child, keep it simple. Uh, Start by letting the family know about the routine of the classroom. I know new guides are nervous just like families are, and keep that in mind that you both have this nervousness going on. Let the families know that you've gone through this extensive training, education, that you know how to care for their child. Ask unique things about the child. What does the child like? Uh, what does the child tend to gravitate towards at home? And try to facilitate that in the classroom. One of the things that I tell guides to is in designing their classroom, put the practical life area up front. So when the child is coming from home, they'll see similar things that are in their home, that's in their classroom to make that transition even smoother, that familiarity.
Mhm. And then what about how they actually work with the child themselves? So we, at least in our school community, we have the children come in a couple days before school starts for individual visits. And we schedule these half-hour sessions, and the family comes, but they know that they're not gonna come in, that they're gonna stay at the door, and the child has the opportunity to come into the classroom all by themselves. And sometimes it takes a bit, and sometimes you have a parent who needs to come in with the child, but it establishes right from the beginning that the child is going to be independent in this space, that it's a space that's their own space. And then they come in, and the guide and the classroom partner, that's what we call our assistants. Um, but the guide and the classroom partner then have the opportunity to build that relationship one on one.
Oh, definitely. That's a terrific routine to have. And in addition to the home visit, what I would always suggest to guide is to bring something from the classroom that they can share with the child at home. So when they come in to the classroom, they'll see that same material. And I let families know that they can always do a drive-by to the school and do a rehearsal of entering the classroom before that transition phase-in day. I allow myself to be available for families. If they say, can we come by such and such time, I'll allow that and I'll be there for that family. So, because some families, they are really anxious about letting their child go, and it's about trust. And if they can build that trust in you, they'll release the child to you, and they know that you will care for their child. So, for example, what you're suggesting that you do in your school is absolutely amazing. Let the child know that it's safe for them to be in here, and the families know that they're okay and they'll be okay.
It really it I we didn't used to do it, and one of our guides actually came up with the idea and said they'd done it at a different school, and it really has made a tremendous difference, and in fact, our children's house does the same thing now. Anybody new coming into the classroom has this personal visit, and we build it into our staff weeks, protect the time so that it's not taking extra time from the guide at home, and it really they also give preliminary lessons during that time, so I don't know about for toddlers, certainly you're the expert, um, and you can tell us, but I know they work a little maybe on rolling and unrolling a rug. They may give an early lesson on carrying a tray or any of those pieces so that the child has like, they have the opportunity to develop themselves. 'Cause what we know about children is that they build their self-confidence by overcoming worthy challenges. And so we wanna give them those worthy challenges right away so they can say, "I did that. I did that in there." Right?
Oh,
So that's
good.
I will say that's a model that we've really found to be really valuable and, a very good use of time.
Oh, well, that is absolutely excellent, and I would recommend that guys that are listening to follow a similar routine, and also to let the families know about your classroom routine. When the child is starting school, let families know your classroom routine. What time is the child expected to be in the classroom? Why is it important for the child to arrive on time? And what time does the work cycle begin? So they know that their child will be a part of the classroom. And I always share with guides that remember, it's like when you're an adult and you walk into a program that's late, that you're late for and it's already started, how does that make you feel? So convey that same message to families. Why is it important to start as a group and not for the child to come in later when school class already started and everyone is working? The child has a harder time getting acclimated to the classroom environment when they are not there to begin with their classmates.
Mhm. So it sounds like you spend a lot of time working with the families and the parents and the caregivers before we're even taking the child on. Because all those questions you're asking and all of that time you put in, you're really laying a foundation.
Yeah, because Montessori herself, she even wrote had a full lecture and wrote about, Montessori speaks to parents. It's creating that valuable relationship because the child is not an independent person. They come with a family, they come with a culture, they come with a background. So you have to make that connection with that family first. And it's building, putting that hard work up front. So later on in the year, everything can run smoothly.
Right, when you have to call them and say,
Mhm.
Susie Q hit somebody over the head today with, the sand pail. And and for them to be able to trust that you've held their child with love, even as they're having this moment, and all of that foundational work pays off tenfold.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And I was also a Montessori parent, and most of us who come to Montessori is through our children. I look at families the way I want to be treated, the way I was treated, and I built a great relationship with my children's teachers that I still communicate with them 24 years later. So you want to establish that relationship that you're handing someone over, your child over to someone that you don't know, a complete stranger. So you have to build that trust.
Mhm. So, can you talk about then when the child is starting school? Like you've established this strong relationship with the family. You've had these in-depth conversations. And then you've brought the child in, met the child for the first time, you've gotten to eye level, you've talked to the child. I think it's worth mentioning for those of you who are new, I really try to acknowledge the child first and then acknowledge the parent. Oftentimes, you'll notice in society, we acknowledge the parent first and then the child, but this is the child's space and you're the child's person. So you have an opportunity there to to get down and really connect with the child and then say hello and always know the parents' names. We really try to not say, Susie Q's mom, right? That's so depersonalizing. They're more than a mom, right? And so no names and certainly family structures and making sure to honor all of those pieces because not everybody has a mom, not everybody has a dad. And that's really important that we build that in as well. But you've done all that work and then you've met the child and you've brought them in slowly and showed them the classroom and showed them where they're going to wash their hands and shown them where they're going to go to the bathroom and given some preliminary lessons. And then they're starting school. This is the big day. And this
Mhm.
is the day that I think so many parents are looking forward to and terrified about at the at the same time. They have so much anxiety about the first time they're dropping their child off at school.
It's so true. I can even recall the first time I dropped my son off, our first child at school. My husband took the day off, and we went to school. We handed our son over. He turned. He said goodbye, and we're standing there. What do we do now? So you want those moments for those families that are nervous. The child is in your classroom. Share with the families that they can start saying goodbye to the child in the car or on the walk to school. So it's not happening at the door. And then the child will feed off the family's emotions. And then that emotion will also transfer to the child and the child being upset in the classroom. And it just trickles down. And before you know it, half the classroom is crying. So you want to establish that with the families. And one thing, when families are coming in, sometimes they're holding the child. So I'll just start kneeling down first before they even come into my view. So they see me kneeling down, knowing that I'm ready to greet their child. Not, as you said, it's about the child's world. I'm not greeting the families first. I'm greeting the child first.
Right, and it really speaks to where our priorities are.
Yeah.
I just was gonna ask what other tips you have for that first day of school. I had not actually heard anybody ever say goodbye ahead of time. I think that's so smart. You start because it I we had a little guy a few days ago saying, "I want one
Ah,
more hug." Right,
yeah.
just you go, I know how that feels.
Yeah, I've had, like 20 minutes goodbye, and it wasn't healthy for the child or the family or the classroom. So, you wanna say, start the goodbyes. The goodbyes don't happen there, and, create a routine. So when we get this last hug, that means I'm releasing you, you're releasing me, and then you go to work and I go to work. Let the child know that he or she's going to work on a special thing in the classroom that he or she likes. Sometimes the guy can tell the families, well, Jane likes to work on folding napkins. So mom or dad or whoever, the caregiver can let the child know, today you're going to work on this special napkin folding. So they're aware that there's a connection in the classroom and the guide would take the child to that favorite work that he or she likes to do.
I had one guide, and I just thought this was so beautiful, but she had found out the special things that each child liked, and on their phase-in day, she made sure she had a table and she had those books on the table. So one little guy loved trucks. So when he walked in, there were books about trucks right there on the table. Like, talk about having your needs be met as you're entering a new space. So he, went quickly to those books. And then, another table had penguin books. And so you have you've really individuated and seen the child as an individual and what their needs are, and you're able to really support them in, as you said, trusting, because the child has to learn to trust us just as much as the adult does.
Yeah. And they'll know that, "Ah, Mrs. Blake has this waiting for me, and I'll be happy, I'll be fine. I'll meet my friends, I'll work on the trains, I'll fold napkins, I'll read that special book on dinosaurs." So you create that extension of home for the child, that individual child.
Mhm, mhm. That's so beautiful. Okay, and then let's talk about number 4. The child's upset, and how do we approach this little person who is really having big, deep feelings
Oh,
about
wow.
this big change in their life?
Comrade, that is so, common in the infant and toddler and primary classroom. Um, when they're upset, it's a time to connect with the child and acknowledge the child's emotions. But what you want to do first as a guide, do a self reflection before approaching the child. I'd say check in with your own emotions. Am I ready to respond to this child's needs? How will I make a positive impact on this child? And when you feel that you are prepared, you are the prepared environment, just like the Montessori uh, triangle. Remember, you're part of it. Acknowledge the child's emotions. For example, you can say to the child at his or her eye level, I see that you're sad. Do you know why you're feeling sad? And if the child is not verbal, sit next to the child and let the child know that you're there for them. I know you're sad. I can stay with you for a while. And I do know that you can't stay with the child forever because you have other students, to, attend to. So you let the child know, "I know you're having these feelings, but I'm going to check on your friends, and I'll return to check back in with you." And most importantly, please follow through with your promise. Go back and check on the child, and then offer the child two choices. Just like we tell parents, offer them two choices, and the choices you're prepared to accept either one. Give them a choice. For example, would you like to prepare the napkins for snack? Or would you like to go in the library and read a book? Those are just simple things that they can understand, and it's not a time to give a lesson. I've had guides tell me that they give a lesson when a child is upset and the child doesn't want to do the lesson. Of course not. Think about yourself. If you're upset, do you want to work? No, you want to relax and embrace your emotions and then work through it. So allow the child to work through the emotions and just check in with them. Let them know you're there for them.
I love that. I think that that's an area that all of us need reminders because our job is to really co regulate, which means, to your point, Michelle, we have to make sure our own nervous system is regulated and that we are in a place of calm and love. So we have that to offer. And sometimes you have a child who's been crying for quite a while. And it can be hard on us also because we can feel overwhelmed. That's when I feel like that's such the gift to any person because we get to overcome that obstacle ourselves so that we can support the child and
Yeah.
give them that time and that love and that connection that you were underscoring there, which is the solution, right? Is for us to be there for them.
And let them know that you get sad too as an adult. I get sad too. And tell them how you get over being sad. You know, it takes time, I know. And just reassure them.
Mhm. Mhm. I think that's what you're doing is you're really taking their emotions seriously and acknowledging that emotions really matter rather than stepping over them. I will tell you, when I've observed school communities, I've seen a child crying like on the leg of an adult, and the adult doesn't have any acknowledgement that the child is there. And it breaks my heart. Like that's because that child is showing you that they need you, they need support, and when we just turn away from them, which I have to admit, early in my career, I thought that was the solution. I thought that was supporting children in being independent, was giving them the chance to build that independence through these emotional moments. And that is really the opposite of what we would do. And really is the opposite of the golden rule. Because if I'm having a hard time, even as an adult, and I come in and I'm crying, happens still sometimes at home, and my husband were to say, "Well, you know what? You're crying, so I'm gonna have you be by yourself, or I'm not gonna give you the hug that you need right now because you're crying." Or stop or even stop crying. Or how about I've even heard a dad say, "I'll give you something to cry about." Like, those are the worst responses because you don't feel taken care of as you're navigating these big feelings. So I really appreciate how important that is, that this is the first breakdown. Actually, Dan Siegel talks about this quite a bit in his book. He and Tina Payne Bryson wrote No Drama Discipline, which I love. But they talk about that first breakdown is a key opportunity for how you build the trust.
Mhm.
And if you mess up that first breakdown when the child's upset or anxious or and we're not compassionate, that it's so hard to win back that trust ever again.
Oh yeah. And you also have to think, harken back to the family. Why is this child feeling anxious? Why is the child feeling sad? So that's where the partnership comes in handy. So you understand the family dynamics and what the child is coming from and who the child is in your classroom. And I've heard guides say, "Oh, you'll be fine. There's nothing to cry about. No, I'm crying. That's a form of communication. I'm upset because I'm feeling this way. And to acknowledge that is so impactful and so empowering for a child to know that someone cares about me.
Mhm. Someone cares about me. They're willing to give me their time, their love, share their heart with me. And that's what Dr. Montessori said Montessori was all about in the first place. She said of all these things, love is the most potent.
It is. It is. And sometimes families may not be able to give that love to the child right now. They're rushing out to school. This is probably their third job they're going to. Um, and the child might be feeling that anxiousness from the family. So you're that safe haven for the child. You're that touch point. So be that touch point. Relax and be in the now with the child.
Mhm. That's so beautiful. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about home routines that can help make this transition easier.
Yes, I like to share with guides and families that um, getting ready for school does not start in the morning. It begins from the night before, or even at pickup from school. So you had share with families to communicate with their children, even if they're not verbal. They do understand, they do absorb what's being said. So share with them, oh, you had a great day in school, and guides communicate this with the family, how they should approach their children. They don't necessarily know how to. So you, as the trained educator, let them know, have communications with their children. How was your day? What did you work in? I know that you like Legos. Did you work with the blocks and so forth? So when we get home, we're going to pick out clothes for school the next day. And again, those two choices, two outfits that you are going to be okay with, and place that where the child can have it in the morning, and start bedtime routine early. So, and keep it consistent. After dinner, we're going to do XYZ, then bed. In the morning, the child knows where to find his or her outfit that you picked out from the night before. And perhaps you also made snack or lunch from the night before. So they're ready to go to school in the morning. They pick up that lunchbox, they're ready in the car. So they have that consistent routine. They know when they're coming to your classroom, you're going to be kneeling down, shaking hands, saying their name, saying hello to their families, and guiding them to put their belongings away, do the classroom routine, washing hands, and then going to work. So you keep that consistency and you share what you're doing in the classroom with the families, and you support the families how to do it at home.
Mm. And it sounds like you're really recommending that the family talk to the child about each step and using that oral language to reinforce the schedule ahead of time so the child can really know what to expect.
Oh, definitely. Because think about, if something is happening the spur of the minute to you as an adult, how do you feel? Hmm. You might feel anxious, right? You might feel, I wasn't prepared for this. So you're preparing the child for success.
Mhm, mhm. That's so beautiful. And I think it's such a key component to our children feeling settled and safe is knowing what's happening next. Okay, so Michelle, what else do you think that our guides should know? You work with brand new toddler guides and you're growing them up. And I happen to know that
Growing.
your training has been transformational for at least two of our guides, two guides that I know from our school. And so, what else do you think that they should know about that beginning of the school year and how to set themselves up for success, set the children up for success and the families up for success?
I say I'm going to get a t-shirt with this. Toddler guides, we pivot. So things won't go as planned all the time and be ready to shift. Be
Mm,
ready to change. And there is learning in mistakes. Uh, be graceful to yourself. If you make a mistake, admit it, even with the families, admit it with the families. I made a mistake.
mm,
And Montessori talks about leaving that ego, getting rid of that ego. So be prepared for changes with families. Sometimes they could be experiencing situations that trickle down into the classroom, but don't take it personal. That's the thing. Don't take it personal. See how you can be the solution, not additional uh, problems for them.
mhm, mhm. So that they know that there's a real partnership there.
Yes, that is so important. Again, the child is not coming as an independent person. They have a family that's attached to them. And it's part of the learning triangle. It's not just the child alone, it's you, the child, the environment. And within that child, I usually put parentheses, the family. So our young guides, our new guides know that they're not in it alone. And the other thing, too, is if they're feeling overwhelmed, always seek help from a seasoned guide in their school. And if that's not available, they can always go look on AMS's website for training modules there that will help them, or um, a company like mine. I'm not trying uh, to impress upon anyone that come to my company, but we do a lot of mentoring for young guides. So there's that gap in between after training, what next? So you will forget some of the things that are in your manuals, but you need that person to person contact. So I would say go to someone in your school environment that can be a support to you. Don't feel that you're alone in this, because then you'll get burnt out, feel overwhelmed, and you'll get through it.
Mhm. And then we lose you, right? Then the profession loses you if you're not able to get the support that you need. And I will say the Greenspring Center for Lifelong Learning has mentoring communities that are with these fabulous, fabulous people that they meet weekly to help people. They finish training, but training's not enough, and it's not designed to be. You're not designed to finish training and then be able to go in the classroom and never have to learn another thing. It's just not how it works. And
Tamara, that is so true. But I'm sorry, but you
oh, go ahead.
have some head of schools that, oh, you're training, you have it, you're good. And that's the end of it. But that's not it.
Mm,
You're continuing to learn and they're continuing to grow. And that needs to happen. That space needs to be there for our young guides.
mhm. And it really, I will share with you that all the research shows that professionals who continue to learn are inspired and stay engaged. If you are not continuing to learn, your system really it disengages it from whatever you're doing, and you can slowly become unenthused. And the truth is that our children deserve us to be inspired and excited about this work. We're doing the most important work that there is.
So agree. As I was sharing with some adult learners last night, I was teaching Montessori philosophy. I was telling them that children from 0 to 3 years old, they're learning the most they'll ever learn in their entire life. 90% of their brain is developed by 3 years old. Research shows it. And the work that we're doing, it is so essential to these children's learning, their development.
Wow, that I hadn't heard the 90%, but I know that it's astronomical, and this is the foundation. So, well, Michelle, thank you so much. We've been trying to have you on for quite a while. It was so nice to have you kick the season off with us. And thank you, thank you, thank you for your work. Thank you for working with these folks to make them into great toddler guides. We need more and more of them, as we know, to serve our world and help these little people be empowered and community minded and problem solvers and really live in their essence as human beings. So thank you for your work and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for those 2 guides. They're amazing.
They are amazing. I agree. And to our listeners, thank you for spending time with us today. Take a look at our website at greenspringcenter.org to view the show notes from today's episode. And Michelle's website is also included in the show notes on that page of our website. We invite you to subscribe to our podcast and hear the latest episodes and to join in the conversation on Facebook and Instagram. The work that you do is so important. It's the most important, and we're here to help. Join us next time.